Hi, my name is Gromdan, and today I'm raiding in WoW again. Now, I originally wanted to show footage of me getting ahead of the curve, but unfortunately for me, that footage ended up not having audio at all. So I decided to find another group to kill the boss, Queen Ansurek, again, so that I could use that instead. If you haven't done raids in WoW before, I will be providing some commentary on my thought process as the fight progresses, as well as the mechanics I have to deal with. There are technically three roles in a raid group, namely tank, healer, and damage dealer, also known as DPS. And with DPS, it is further split into two subgroups, namely melee and range. Now I am playing as an unholy Death Knight, which is considered a melee DPS. So it is from this perspective that I will be explaining part of the fight up. The fight against Queen Ansurek is split into three phases, with this being the first phase. Things like green swirls that become green patches after some time, green puddles that get bigger, white lines on the floor, are all to be avoided as they do damage to those that get hit or step on them. Another thing to note are the white circles that spawn on the players in this phase. After a period of time, these circles spawn roots that stop the players from moving. In order to deal with this effect, the raid team must stack close to each other and have DPS members use area of effect abilities to quickly destroy the roots as they spawn, thus freeing the raid. So far, those are the easier mechanics to deal with in this phase. The main issue, which you are about to witness, is the green circle that comes out and expands from where the boss is. Unlike other abilities, this cannot be dodged using traditional means. If enough players get hit by it, the raid team dies. Before this happens, two members of the raid group are targeted by an ability that causes them to spawn two green dots where they are standing. These two dots, when stepped on, causes players near them to get launched into the air and towards Queen Ansurek. The solution to this problem is to have the raid group split into two, with each group standing next to each green dot, and at the last second, when the boss is about to cast the expanding green circle ability, two players from the raid group would step on the green dot, launching all members of the raid team high up into the air, avoiding the green circle and thus saving the raid from dying. You can see that happening just about right now. And now, with Queen Ansurek hitting about 35% HP, we enter the phase Intermission. Queen Ansurek goes to the center of the room with a shield and tethers everyone toward her using a web. During this time, she will also keep putting forth waves that players have to dodge and will also periodically pull players towards her with the web. A player who is pulled underneath her instantly dies, so some other melee DPS run away from her the moment she starts casting this ability to avoid being completely pulled in. Fortunately for me, as a Death Knight, I have the Death Charge ability, allowing me to mount an undead horse, increasing my movement speed and also breaking any movement impairing effects that currently affect me. It also grants me immunity to forced movement effects like being pulled into Queen Ansurek. Now after the shield has been whittled down, Ansurek becomes immune to damage and I have to help kill one of the Ascended Void Speakers that appear in the arena while also helping interrupt his spellcasting. After the Void Speaker dies, a knockback effect occurs near the location of his death and players need to use this knockback to get to the upper platform. Once on the upper platform, phase 2 occurs. As you can see, occasionally Ansurek will still try to pull players towards her in this phase. Now you can actually see what it's like to be pulled without me using Death Charge to cheese the mechanic. I have to be careful here as depending on my position when the pull occurs, I might get pulled out of the platform and killed. Another thing that I have to avoid here are the blue spheres and the blue lines on the floor. Especially the blue lines, as they can knock me out of the platform. Within the monsters that we have to kill in this phase, the Devoted Worshipper is priority. Because if he finishes casting Cosmic Apocalypse, it could kill the raid team. Once these monsters are dead, we move to the last platform to kill another Void Speaker, once again, using its death's knockback effect to get to the upper boss arena. I got lucky dodging those spheres. I didn't even really notice them as I was too focused on killing the Void Speaker. On a side note, I am glad that my raid lead is giving orders using WoW's raid warning system. Good raid leads are hard to come by in pickup groups, and seeing one communicate and organize his or her team effectively is a great thing. Now that we are here, Phase 3 begins. Just like in Phase 1, there will be some swirlies on the floor that need to be dodged. They will leave patches on the ground too, just like in Phase 1, except this time they are blue. Also, 2 players will periodically get webs coming out of them. Ideally, these webs need to be placed some distance away, as they do damage to the raid depending on how far they are placed. In heroic difficulty, they spawn this web tether that makes it hard to move. These tethers need to be destroyed by the DPS. You see these spiders? They will try to get to Ansurek, and if they manage to reach her, they will explode, dealing heavy raid-wide damage. DPS needs to kill these spiders as fast as possible, otherwise the raid group dies. So, during this phase, 2 random players will get portals spawned in their location. These players are to spawn one at the edge of the arena and another near the center. Shortly from now, the boss will go to the center of the room and tether the raid group to her via her web, while at the same time a collapsing blue circle heads towards the middle of the arena. Players who get hit by the circle die. The only way to dodge this is to use the portal spawned by the 2 players earlier to teleport from the center of the arena to the edge. As I teleport, I am afflicted by an ability that makes it so that I damage people around me. So I decide to stay away from other players until the ability ended. As you will see in a bit, I get afflicted by the web and the spider monsters just spawned. Now I know I have to drop the tether some distance away from the raid team. Ideally, I was told to do it in front of the boss. Fortunately, one of my abilities, Abomination Limb, is active at this time. This ability of mine deals damage to enemies around me and pulls enemies towards my location. If I were to try to run in front of the boss, I might end up pulling the spiders close to Ansurek, and if they reach her, the raid dies. So I make the decision to stay behind the spiders and drop the web tether there instead. Technically, we needed to kill those big blue spiders too, but the raid lead made the call to focus on the boss, so I didn't bother switching as the boss was already at low HP and was about to die. And there you have it, Queen Ansurek dies in heroic difficulty. Now you might be wondering why I am smiling a lot at the end. It's because I love raiding. It's my favorite PvE game mode in any PvE game. And after spending a long time away from WoW, this feels like coming home to me. I still remember the days dying over and over again to complete a difficult raid. This isn't even really that difficult. After all, there's still mythic difficulty above heroic. That being said, my mythic experience in any raid is limited at most. The guild I was with years ago barely raided at that difficulty. But today is a new day. I'm no longer part of their guild, and I am hoping that somewhere out there, I will be able to join a raid team that can reach new heights and get the coveted cutting edge. Till then, I'll gear up and practice hard. And that's it for the video. I hope you like it. I'll keep it running in case you want to see what's left of the cutscene. See you.
You were a means to an end. Your survival wasn't necessary. I simply wish you had lasted a little longer. And now you learn the true lesson of the Void. Only the strongest survive.
This madness is over. You have spared our people a dark fate, Overcrawler. The truth of our alliance must remain hidden for now. But you have our gratitude.
While the Queen's plot is ended, I fear something worse looms in the shadows. Only time will reveal if we hindered this unseen force or played into its hands.